What's going on YouTube? Ronin Frog 87 here, and yeah, by the title of this video, guys, I'm gonna call this the Breakers of Shadow, the Paradox Edition or the Paradox set, and you'll see why, and let me explain why. Well, as a set, Breakers of Shadow, at one point at its height, like about a week ago or a little bit over a week ago, was around $90. Like, if you wanted to buy them online, they were around $90. And it was obvious why, because each pack guaranteed you a holo, and and you got like 2 secret rares per box, and hell yeah, vendors were gonna take advantage of that. But ever since that adjusted list came out a few days ago, the set itself has been tanking as a whole. Now it used to be 90, now it's around 70. So you can pretty much pick it up for what a regular set costs. However, and this is where the paradox comes in. Even though that adjusted list hit, and a few days ago we did that emergency ban list market watch, some of those cards have been going up, and you'll see right here. Let's take a look at Solemn Strike. I know Solemn Strike wasn't really directly affected by that ban list. However, last week, if you remember last Monday, they were around $55, and now they're an easy $60. So something's happening where Solemn Strike is going back up. A $5 increase. Some may call it insignificant, but hey, $5 is $5. And then we have Cyber Dragon Infinity here. Remember, guys, how Ptolemaeus was hit, and everyone was like, "Oh, this card is just gonna continue to tank and tank," and I said that myself. However, last week it was around 25 to 30. Now it's nearing 40. Before that balance hit, it was around 45. Before that, last Monday before the balance hit, it was 45. When the adjusted list hit, it went down like to 25 to 30. Now it's going back up, and I guess people are realizing, hey, it's still a pretty good card. And then we have Form of Pendulum Sorcerer, and this is another very interesting and very curious one. As we see here, when that balance hit, it was, let's see here, it was $25, because obviously Pepe just got sledgehammered by it got Triple H sledgehammered by Konami. And even though it's still at 3, it went down to 25, but now it's creeping back up around $40. So maybe people are realizing that, hey, maybe Pepe as a deck isn't dead. Instead of we can run other cards that we weren't able to run before. We can make it more based around the Draco Slayers. We can put Magic Specters in there. We can do this. We can run it pure. We can do this. We can do that. And maybe people are realizing that, hey, Pepe is still alive despite it being neutered by the ban list. So there's that. And of course, Twin Twisters. Rafflesia is still around the same price. Twin Twisters last week they were around $9, and they're creeping back up a little bit, nearing the $11 mark. But a good 10. But they're basically still a good solid $10. And of course, the deck that I said benefited the most from the adjusted ban list was Kozmo, because now that Pepe, or seemingly, it seemed like Pepe was gonna be out of the equation, but who knows? It's still a little too early to tell on that. And Kozmo benefited the most because that's another deck people can go to besides Monarchs, albeit an expensive one. And as a result, remember, guys, Kozmo Dark Destroyer was around 135, but now they've fallen a little bit down in price to 120. Maybe not that much, but like I've said, $15 is $15. And another card that I failed to cover that I should have was Kozmo Farm Girl, because when the adjusted list hit, they went from 13 to 30, but now they're settling in around 25, which it's a pretty good price for Farm Girl. I don't think Kozmo did too well at YCS Atlanta this past weekend. I believe they only got 1 or 2 tops, but that's because that was under the old list, and from the next YCS is going to be this, I guess, a standard bearer for the rest of the meta as to what the prices are. So I can't wait for that. And another deck that I said that benefited, of course, from the whole Pepe slight banhammer was Mermails. And, the shining star right now of Mermails, even though he's an Atlantean and not a Mermail, is Neptibus. And I thought that's just, from last week was going to go up, but it's still steady. It's still around the same price. So Neptibus is still around that $8 mark. And of course, the other cards that I should have covered in that last video were the Mermails, which I failed to do. I apologize for that. But here are their prices. The Ultimate Bestius, which I'm pretty sure people are running triples of, because I've seen some deck profiles and they're all maxing out on this guy. So the Ultimate is around $30. And the secret rare Abyss Megalo around 18. Bestius Ultra Rare around 30. And Abyss Lind. Sorry, guys. I know I keep brain farting around. Yeah, they're around 12. And there goes the Abyss Megalo, the Battle Pack 2, around $8. So, yeah, well, I should also be taking a look at Mermails from now on because this is another deck that benefited from the adjusted ban list. Okay, and now that Pepe was neutered, the next best deck, of course, is Monarchs, or some people say Kozmo, but I still think it's Monarchs because of the sheer numbers of people that are just going to be playing it. But yeah, Caius, if you recall, last week was around $17, and now they're going up. They're around the $25 mark, because now that, like I said, Pepe is probably not going to be the best deck. It's going to be Monarchs, and you're going to need to play at least one of these guys. And of course, Thestalos. Remember last week he was also around. Let me see here. Let me take my note. Look at my notes. Last week he was around $8. Now he's around $14, nearing that $15 mark. So he's going up as well. Of course, as a result of the adjusted list. And for all of you guys wanting to pick up maxis on it cheap, I'm sorry, guys. They actually went up in price from last week. Last week they were hovering around that $20 mark. The super rares were the one that's the most likely that people are gonna get. But now the legendary collector's one, at least, is around 26. But however, the collector's tin one is around that $20 mark. So you can pick that one up if you still haven't picked up maxi, because guys, let's face it, maxi, even though if it's not going to be great in one format, there's always going to be formats where it is going to be great, where it's always going to shine, and maxi is one of the cards that you really should hang on to. And of course, another Monarch card is Kuraz, and according to my notes, he's still around the same price, $8. You don't. Is he important to the deck? Sure, but not necessary. I mean, he's really good in the deck, but not necessary if you want to play it. And of course, our friend Delg, the Dark Monarch, the one that shot up like crazy over a weekend. And you remember, I believe at one point he was 25 to 30. Then last Monday he was 14, and this Monday he's around 12, 15. Like I said, in which everyone's also saying, he's gonna just continue to drop and drop and drop. And it's going to be interesting to see. I'm still going to keep an eye on him, even though he's nowhere near important to the deck. I just want to see, keep an eye on him to see how far he's going to fall. It should make for some good entertainment. And of course, I wanted to end the video with the prediction princesses, Tarotel, however you say her name. Because the deck with Pot of the Forbidden is gonna be interesting, and I want to see if anyone's gonna want to play it. I sure as hell want to play it because it looks like a lot of fun. And remember how I said I want to keep watching this card every week to see if it goes up in price? That prediction princess hype. And we did it, boys. Last week she was 35 cents. Now she's around 50 cents. We're getting up there, guys. Let's see if we get it up to $1. The difference is around 15 cents. So, trying to make $1 out of 15 cents is that's what trying to make $1 out of 15 cents. Yeah, as Tupac would say, the legendary rapper would say. And guys, let's get that prediction princess hype going. No, but all joking aside, I don't know, guys. Something gives me a gut feeling that this is gonna inch up, a little higher and higher as we get closer to Shining Victories, where all that ritual support is gonna come out. So we'll see about that. Alright, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that cool stuff. As always, I'm running Frog87. I bid you farewell, and I hope to see you guys on the next one.